You are listening to I Survived the Wild Outdoors podcast, where real outdoors men and women share their heroic tales of survival. I'm your host, Brad Mathewson, and this is their story. Hello, everyone. Today's guest is Craig Hoffman of Shawano County, Wisconsin. I've known Craig for over 10 years now. He supplies my family's custom cabinet business with countertops, and we spent a lot of time BSing about the outdoors on the job site. And one thing that always happens when we talk is somehow it always comes back around to bears. So thanks for coming on with me today, Craig.
You bet.
Back in the fall of 2018, you had a face-to-face encounter with an angry black bear while hunting with an outfitter in northern Minnesota. Tell me what happened.
So, when you asked me to share this story, I thought I'd share it a little bit in reverse. So
Okay.
The year following my black bear encounter, the guide that I used up in northern Minnesota, he was up in the Red Lake area, the little town of Waskish was the name of the town. At the end of every year, one of my favorite things about him is how he always would give a year summary, telling you kind of the average size of the bear and how he felt the bear were that year. Why he explained whether it was a great year or a bad year, he would always explain it. And it really cracked me up. It was the year following my experience that he started off. He was a good storyteller. So he started off with this year as I was putting away the Champo. So I'm going to give you a little backstory to the Champo. The Champo is the Craig Hoffman Almost Memorial Pizza Oven. So the year before I was there, when you get back, there's really nothing in Waskish. There's a couple little places you can stay to fish out of, and that's where I stayed to hunt out of. A few bars. There's nowhere to get food by the time you get out of the woods. You're going to be 45 minutes back in the woods. There's nowhere to get anything to eat when you're done.
Yep.
So one of the days in the mornings, because we didn't hunt in the mornings, I said, I'm going to run down to Bemidji and grab a pizza oven, and we'll throw some pieces in the freezer where the bear meat is. At least we'll have something to eat when we get back to the camp. And when I left that year, I left the pizza oven. I said, hey, from now on, just everybody's got a place to make a pizza. Any guy will eat a pizza, so that's it.
Yep.
So I'm going to give you the story of the Craig Hoffman Almost Memorial Pizza Oven. So I believe we were about midweek. I can't remember if we started on a Saturday or not, to be honest with you, but we were 4 days maybe into the hunt. I had a bear. I was with a buddy of mine. I had a bear coming into my spot, very consistent, maybe a 200-pound bear. My intention that year was to shoot one with longbow. The guide there had never had anybody shoot one with traditional archery, and that was kind of my goal.
Yep.
But I also had a weight in mind, I guess, and this 200-pound bear that came in the first 3 nights I was there, I guess for me didn't make the cut. I don't care if somebody shoots a 200-pound bear. It just didn't make the cut for me.
Yep.
So the guy I was with hadn't seen one yet. He's quite a bit younger than me, and I said, "Why don't you sit in my spot? If you decide to shoot that bear, go ahead and whack him." And the guide asked me, he said, "Where do you want to sit?" And he had traditionally this was the second or third time I had been up there with him. I had never shot a bear. Had seen bear, but never one I wanted to shoot. And he asked me where I wanted to sit, and he would always, in the mornings after he did a bait circle, we would come back to bear, quote unquote, bear camp, I guess.
Yep.
And he would show us the pictures. And there was one bait specifically that there was a very large sow that was coming in, a chocolate colored sow that was coming in, and she had a couple cubs with her. And I decided that night to sit that bait with the hope of seeing her and just getting some videotape of her. No intention of shooting her, nothing. Just, I'd like to get some videotape of her and the cubs. That was my whole thought behind it. So that's what I did. So I drove to the spot where I was going. I knew where that bait was at, so I drove, and it's probably 3/4 of a mile walk back in the woods, I would guess, and walked back in, and I was taking my time, trying to sneak back into it, and as I got, it was super thick where it was at, very thick with saplings. You couldn't see through them like I don't think you could even. It would have been hard to walk through the saplings. They were so thick. It was that kind of like a popple sapling, super thick though. As I was walking in there, I was maybe 40, 50 yards away where before I turned the corner where I could have seen the bait, and I definitely heard something bust back. I knew it was a bear just from the amount of noise it made. I was pretty disappointed. Thought, all right, I already screwed my night up. It didn't even start.
Just kicked him off the bait. Yep.
Whatever. That's what I thought. So it is what it is. All right, I'm here. I'm gonna go sit in here. We'll see what comes in. Maybe something else will come in. So that bait was set up with a ground tent that I couldn't shoot my longbow out of because it wasn't tall enough. So I took my compound bow and I ended up, I had a pistol with me, just a Glock 9mm is what I had with me. And there was a tent there. When I got in there was a tent there, and I guess for your listeners who are familiar, it had the shooting hole through the screen window.
Yep.
When I got in the tent, I pulled the screen out so I wouldn't, no matter what, wouldn't be shooting through the screen.
Yep.
So I thought that night I'd be shooting with my compound. My goal was to shoot it with the longbow, obviously, but if the right bear came in, I would have shot it with a compound bow that night. So anyways, got in, got set up, pulled the screen out of the tent. Only in this tent, only one window open, probably 20 yards, pretty close to, if I remember right on the head to the bait. So a very comfortable shot with the bow. Sat down in the tent and started my proverbial wait, right? And it actually wasn't very long. If I remember right, it maybe 30 minutes at the top. All of a sudden I seen these two little bumbling cubs come scooting into the bait. And I knew right away as soon as these two black cubs came in that chocolate sow that I was hoping the videotape was going to be there. That's her cub.
Yep.
So they came in and it was a super cool night. I mean, to this day in my phone, I probably got 30 minutes of video of those cubs coming in and then the sow eventually working her way in. She's a beautiful chocolate colored, I'd say 300-pound sow. She came in and cubs stayed at the bait and they were there quite a while. And then the sow started making a circle. So I had a phenomenal setup that night. The bait was west. The bait was east of the tent with a nice west wind. So I had a perfect wind on them.
Yep.
One window open on the tent. There's no way they're seeing me in there, whatever. And the cubs are just doing their thing. And the sow was being a good mom and she ate a little bit, but very cautious about the whole situation. And as she was in there, she started to make a circle. She cut to the north. I'm looking to the west. She cut to the east, with a west wind. She cut to the north, and then I could hear her. And so I only had one window open on that tent. And she worked her way. I couldn't see her. I'm just guessing, maybe 20, 30 yards behind me, and she made a complete circle of the tent, which made me pretty nervous because at one point in there, she certainly should have had my wind.
Yep.
Made a circle, got all the way out of my wind and all the way up to the southeast corner of me. And all of a sudden she started popping her jaws.
Yep, she knew you were there.
That was my thought, that she knew I was there. But at that point, she's probably 2 or 3 minutes out of my wind. You know what I mean? Where I thought she should have had my wind to out of my wind. Because those trees were so thick, I could hear her going through them. Like, you could hear her. You could hear her behind me when she was in my wind, and I was pretty nervous I didn't like it,
Yep.
So I couldn't see her. There's no windows open that way. So she worked her way all the way out to the southeast corner. So she's completely out of my wind again. And she started popping her jaws. And the cubs looked at her. They kept eating, but looked at her. They was a little bit nervous. And it wasn't long after that, all of a sudden there was an all-out bear fight, which I've never heard before. There was two bears definitely going after each other. I couldn't see it, could hear the brush breaking, and I don't remember how long that went on. Maybe a half a minute or a minute, maybe.
Okay.
No, it was quite a while ago now, so I don't remember exactly how long that was. But it was definitely something that burns into your brain, just that it was happening. I'd never heard it, and got the adrenaline going, and the heart was beating or whatever, and so it came to a stop, and there was a pause, and all of a sudden, what I know now is the sow snapped their jaws, and the cubs ran to her, and they were gone. So I texted the guide and just said something like, "Seen the sow and cubs. She got in a fight with another bear. Sow and cubs left." That's what I remember texting him.
Okay.
And he said, "Awesome. That's a pretty cool night. Did you get pictures or video?" I said, "Yes. Got a ton of video. Got some really cool pictures." I said, and I had also told him earlier that I had chased one off the bait. I didn't know what it was. So this makes more sense later, because I thought I chased her off maybe, but I don't think I did after that. So it wasn't very long, maybe 10, 15 minutes top. Another bear came in. Wasn't a really big bear. Well, I can tell you it was about 290-pound bear. I can tell you that's what it was, because we were able to weigh her when it was done, or weigh him when it was done.
Yep.
That bear came in, and it came in from the direction of that fight, so southeast from me, so never had my wind, shouldn't know I was there, whatever. Came walking in, walked right up to the bait like it was going to eat, turned and looked at the tent, and it did not like the tent. That tent's been there a long time, a few weeks for sure, but that bear did not like the tent. You could tell right away it was looking my way, and it was not happy about it. That bear, it started popping its jaws first, and then it's the only bear I've ever seen do this. Like, picked its paws up and slapped them on the ground a couple times.
Yep.
I've never seen that. Obviously, you recognize it as a sign of aggression, but I've never seen it. And then so it's 20 yards from me. I'm not really worried sitting with a bow in my lap. It maybe it's a bluff charge. I don't even know what you'd call it. It ran half that distance and stopped. Okay. So now it's 10 yards from me. And I'm just watching through the window, and I'm more confused than anything, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't remember being scared. I just remember thinking, what in the world is going on here? It can't smell me. There's no way this thing smells me. I got a nice breeze, like probably not quite a 10-mile-an-hour breeze, but a nice breeze blowing at me.
Yep.
I mean, there's no way it smells me. And I was confused. To be honest with you, I was confused. I'm like, and it can't see me in that tent. I'm at the back of the tent. There's only one window open. I'm in a black hole. So I was confused more than anything. So at 10 yards, it starts doing the same thing. It popped its jaws again. It slapped its paws on the ground again. And then I was like, this ain't right.
Yep.
I don't know what's going on here, but it seems like it knows I'm in here, and I don't get it, but it sure seems to. And then it started the charge again, and that time it was it was real close, like 6, 8, 10 feet from the tent.
Yep.
I just went, hey, and it stopped. It locked it right up in its tracks. And I was kind of peeking out the corner of the tent, just watching what it was doing, and it was still looking at the hole that I'm looking through that window. It was looking at that. And the pistol that I had was in a holster, like a plastic holster, and I remembered when you could hold a little button to release the pistol from the holster, and if you hold the button, you could pull the pistol out silent.
Yep.
If you press the button, you could pull it up a little bit, the pistol up a little bit, and it would click. And I chose the second idea because I realized maybe this is time to pull the pistol out.
Yep.
So that's what I did. And I chose the second, thinking that little click, every bear that I've ever seen, the tiniest little noise makes them spin and they run away.
Yep.
So I chose the second option of letting the holster click. Probably, knowing what I know now, obviously not the right option.
Yep.
And at the moment of that click, that set that bear off, and it charged the tent. Only its head. So anybody, I want to say it was like one of the Primos tents that almost everybody had. It had a triangle window in it with a little screen that you
Yep,
put
the
in.
old double bull, the old double bulls, I
the,
think they're called.
Yep, for sure, that's the one. So I had the screen pulled out. As soon as I clicked, that bear bellered, like bellered, and it charged that hole. And as its head came through the hole of the tent, it was chomping, and then the tent hit around, the tent actually is hitting around its neck because its head's in it.
Yep.
And it pulled its head up like it's standing on its back legs, and I still remember in the tent, I'm sitting in a chair at the back of the tent, and as it lifted it up, the tent is probably a foot or two off the ground on the bottom, and it's just bellowing, just brrr, and its jaws chomping, its head's inside the tent, and I just took my pistol and I pushed it out, and if I had to guess, a foot or less from its chest, and just squeezed the shot off. And the bear flipped over, like flipped back out of the tent, landed on the ground, and it was bellowing. And I thought, like in my head, like even now, I think I was pretty reasonable through the whole thing. Like I didn't really panic.
Yep.
But I remember thinking when it hit the ground, like it's laying on its back, and I didn't like it. It's bellowing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I didn't like it. But I went to sit down in the chair, and I still, like to this day, it's funny as can be. Like the noise that came out of my body was a
just the adrenaline rush.
It's kind of embarrassing to say it.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was. It was a release of adrenaline. I didn't even realize it was adrenaline. Had an adrenaline rush going. I thought it was just confused, like what's going on here. So I shot the bear. I sat down in the chair. It bellowed once. When it bellowed the second time, I just stood back up. It was literally where it was laying was 2 feet from the outside of the tent.
Yep.
It was just in the brush that was trimmed off for the tent. I shot the bear the second time. I just reached out and shot it again in the chest, thinking, all right, it's not dead yet. I realized, like, just rationally, I broke its spine because the way it was laying there. And I'm like, okay, it's time to shoot it again. It was laying on its side now. So now I could easily double lung it. So I just shot it one more time through the lungs. It seemed like that part went pretty fast. The bear was dead. So I'm kind of sitting back in the tent, super confused. And to be perfectly honest with you, very upset. I was really mad. I was probably more mad than anything. I knew the size of that bear wasn't the size of the bear that I wanted to shoot. But I don't know what else I was supposed to do, I guess. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm a control freak, but I just remember thinking that's not the way I wanted it to go down. You know what I mean? I had passed bears the last 2 times I had been by him just because they weren't the right size. And I was very happy and content with that. I don't buy a tag and feel the need to have to fill that tag. I want what I want, and I'm okay going home without.
Yep.
That's just me. That's hunting.
Yep.
That's what makes it cool. So I remember being very, very upset that it happened that way. Kind of regained my composure a little bit, and I remember sending a text to the guide, and man, I wish I could look back and see what that text said. It said something to the effect, shot a bear with the pistol inside the tent. And I got a text back, something to the effect of, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I said, yep, I'm fine. Bear is dead. It's 2 feet from the tent. Let me know when you're coming. You know, and that was kind of it. And I also, when I got out, I said, I'm going to head towards the truck. I said, bear is definitely dead. I'm going to head towards the truck. So I started my walk out, and it's kind of interesting because my cell signal wasn't very good at all in that area, and I was able to get a call out to my wife. And that didn't go the way I thought it was going to. And maybe it was adrenaline, but I remember being relatively emotional about it.
Yep.
And just said, hey, I had a close call.
Oh yeah,
You know, and
could have went really bad
I had a
for sure.
yeah. I just want you to know I'm fine. I killed a bear with my pistol, and I still remember her saying, "With your pistol?" And I said, "Yeah." I said it was in my tent, and we kind of lost signal for a little bit. It took a little bit of time to get the signal back, and
Yep.
she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm good. I'm good." I said, that was close. And it was, you know, I look at it and I think of the people that went through bear attacks and all that, and I don't hold a candle to that, but yet at the same time, I just feel like, holy crap, I got lucky.
Yeah, it could
That
have
could have
went
got really bad.
Yeah, went south fast for sure.
That is literally, this is no joke, Brad. That is the first time I have ever hunted a bear with a gun. I have
Oh
never
really?
had a gun.
I didn't even know that.
I've never had a gun with me. I quit carrying a gun probably about 10 years before that because I was going into a bait, and I always heard guys telling me stories where they said, "Oh yeah, I had to chase the bear off the bait on the way in." And I got a picture of me. I still remember it was 10:03 Saturday. This is burned in my brain. I got a picture of a bear on a bait at 10:03 Saturday morning.
Yep.
And a picture of me at 10:05. I was trying to sneak in on that bait.
Yeah,
and
he
that
knew.
bear
He knew you're there already.
He knew.
Yep.
And that was the day that I realized if a bear wanted to eat me, he would have done it a long time ago. I ain't carrying a gun anymore. And I didn't. That was literally, like, it's completely opposite, I think, of what most people
Yeah,
would do.
I couldn't do
But
that.
that
Bears,
was the last day
bears still make me nervous
that's
going
the
in.
last day I carried that was the last day that I carried a gun. I said, that bear is more afraid of me than I am of it.
Yep.
And I am in the woods a lot. And if that bear wanted to kill me, he already would have done it because he's better at this game than I am.
Yep.
He's way better. He didn't even know he was playing a game.
Yeah.
You know, and he still beat me.
Yep.
And so anyways, this is the first time that I had carried a pistol with me on a bear hunt. It's the first time. It's uncanny how it all turned out. Like, just, it's uncanny. So anyways, back to that story. So the guide ended up coming out. There was another really, really, really nice bear. It was almost a 400-pound bear that got shot in camp that night. He had went and got that one out, and then it was dark by the time he got to me, and he had sent me a text and said, "Hey, I think we should call a game warden."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." You know, and I said, "What's your thought?" He said, "I think this is a bear attack. I think we should call a game warden." And the game warden actually beat him to my site. She knew it was a girl game warden, and she knew where it was at. And she showed up there, and we walked back into the thing. And to be honest with you, like, she's on top of her game. I really do, to this day, I do believe that she's got the only explanation that makes sense, and that was that one of the first things she asked me, it was before dark, we walked in, it was just last light,
Yep.
and she said, "Was a screen in that window when you got in there?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You took it down?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I won't shoot a bull through a screen." I said, I won't do that. I said, "I'm afraid it'll affect the arrow flight." You know what I mean? I know guys that do it. I won't. I just don't do it.
No, I won't do it either.
And she's like, so I told her the whole story of what happened, and she said, "I honestly think that the bear that came in could very possibly be the bear that you kicked off the bait on the way in, that the sow got in a fight with, obviously,
Yep.
because it came right from that direction. And when it came in, it was juiced up on adrenaline, and it turned and looked." And she says, everybody knows that bears have inherently bad vision.
Yep.
And that triangle window looked somewhat like a bear head. She said, "I just wonder if it thought it was attacking a bear. And when you let your pistol click, you clicked your teeth back at that bear."
Yep.
And it was
That makes
on.
sense.
And to this day, that's what I think happened. It's the only thing to me that makes sense, because it couldn't have smelled me. It sure as hell didn't see me. Why was it doing what was it doing? It wasn't attacking me inside the tent. Even the way the bear came through chomping, it was chomping at the window. You know what I mean? Like, that was the bear to that. It was fighting that black hole. It was fighting that black hole, and that's what I think happened. And so I think she was somewhat hesitant to believe, knowing what I know now. You, Brad, know that I'm not telling the complete story of what happened with the game wardens, but they literally thought, one of those game wardens literally thought that I had shot a bear smaller than I wanted, had come up with a story, so I would get my tag back. She asked me, she said, "What do you want to do with this bear? This can be a bear attack, and you still have your tag." I tagged that bear that night, just thinking that was my hunt. Like, I don't want to shoot another bear. Like, that was my hunt.
Yep.
You know,
You punched
in
out
my
already.
head, that was my hunt. Yeah, I shot it. I killed that bear. That's my hunt, and that is what I did. That's absolutely what I did. I could have hunted later that week. The guide had other baits. I was content. It's a weird thing to say because I was so upset with what I shot, but at the same time I was content with that was my hunt. I don't feel like I should shoot another bear.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I don't know that it's some ethical thing. That was it. That was my hunt for the year. And so I could have got out of taking that bear. She said, "We can give it as a bear attack, a self-defense kill, whatever." You know what I mean? And they took the bear back or whatever.
Yep.
And I said, no, I want to tag it. And that's what I ended up doing. And it was pretty funny because I think, knowing what I know now, she was somewhat a non-believer in my story.
Okay.
And she had actually went back to the tent the next day. It sounds like with a black light or whatever.
Yep.
And then I got a call from her, and she says, "Hey, just letting you know, I stopped back out there." She said, "That's pretty interesting. There's blood all over the inside of that tent."
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works. If you shoot them and there's an exhale, you know what I mean? And that's where some of the mist comes from. She said, but she says, "There's no doubt in my mind that the shot of that bear happened while the bear was in the tent, not outside the tent."
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I guess I look at it and think of where the bullet, just from a physics standpoint, I shot the bullet shot the bear in the chest. It hit its spine, but I don't know if that caused air to come through its mouth. She said, because there was blood like on the tent, like the window, the thing you can zip shut over the triangle, you know. That was actually, I had taken a picture of that. That was my first blood. Literally my first blood was there was a drop on the window of the tent. But she said, no, she said that bear must have coughed. You know what I mean? As you shot, that pressure must have pushed some blood through because there was blood inside the tent as well. So, but yeah, that was the Champo bear, the Craig Hoffman almost Memorial Pizza Oven bear.
So after going through all this and not carrying a pistol for years, and then, I mean, have you changed your mind at all as far as carrying a pistol into bear baits or on your hunt in the future?
No, I walk back into the bear bait with you. I still don't carry one. Like, I literally think that this is stupidity or pride, or you can call it whatever you want on my part. I literally think I hit the very weird anomaly.
Yep.
That can happen in nature. Those happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that bear, to this day, I don't believe that bear was attacking a human. I don't at all. I think if he knew I was in there, he would have scooted. That's what I believe.
Yep. Or if he would have circled around behind you.
I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, probably. Yeah.
Caught your wind, he probably would have blew out of there. You would have thought.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't, to this day, I have no fear. It doesn't make rational sense. That maybe that only happens to smart people. I don't know. I don't have a fear of bear. I really don't. At my hunting lease, I've seen bear multiple times, and I have no weapon on me whatsoever, and I'll still try to sneak in and try to get pictures of them and know that once they smell me, they're going to run away. I know that's how it works. Like, I happen to have the anomaly happen that night.
Yep.
That's what I believe, that it was just a very odd, weird set of circumstances that came out. And to this day, I give a lot of credit to that game warden. She's got a brilliant brain on her, like, to figure that out, because I didn't figure it out.
Yep.
It made no sense to me. I just told her, I said, I'm super confused by what just happened here. That's not how this is supposed to work, you know?
No.
So I told her, I said, this side of the bear is just your playful, curious bear. I said, but nothing about him was playful or curious. He was very aggressive, you know, like, and I don't understand what happened here. And I don't know, maybe that's what made the story kind of cool for me. Like a little bit of dumb luck, and I don't know.
Well,
I got a dead bear, and to this day, it's the only bear I've killed.
Well, I have read that typically when you have problem bears, it's typically the younger bears. It's younger bears that haven't learned, you know, right from wrong, basically, or just dumb, basically like dumb teenagers. Yep. And they're the ones going to get in trouble. You know, they, smell human. They should bookend the other way, but sometimes curiosity kind of gets them in trouble. And that's what a lot of times happens. It's just young bears, inexperience. Well, thank you for coming on today, Craig, and sharing your bear story. I think if I was in your shoes, I would have done the same exact thing, you know. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And enjoy all that Mother Nature has to offer. If you like what you heard today, click the subscribe button to hear more upcoming stories. If you or someone you know have a survival story you'd like to share, contact me at isurvivethewildoutdoors@gmail.com.